Hello friends. Tadep was kidnapped by bad guys. What will James do to save her? John sat in the dark room. His hand clenched the empty glass of wine. His eyes were red with anger. In less than a month, every carefully laid plan he made fell apart. James's company suffered heavy losses, but was not defeated as he wished. James counterattacked by collecting evidence about his market manipulation. Withdraw capital to put pressure on shareholders. He thought he would when he calculated everything. From leaving James financially bankrupt to push his company into a corner. But he did not expect that. James had prepared in advance. The more John thought, the more anger rose inside him. He threw the wine glass on the floor, and the glass shattered into pieces. Damn, why is this happening? He roared. Suddenly an idea flashed through his mind. He remembered the night before, as he passed a small road, and accidentally saw James walking out from a simple house in the suburbs. A girl with a bright smile saw him out the door. John squinted. That girl was Diep. He smirked. If you can't beat James in business, then he will destroy the thing that James loves the most. You made me lose everything, James. Okay, I will make you taste the pain twice as much. John, pick up the phone and call a confidant. I have something for you to do. Follow someone for me. That night, John made an appointment to meet lytuca at a fancy bar. The lights were dim, and the smell of strong alcohol lingered in the air. Lytuca, a middle-aged man with a sharp face and calculating eyes, walked to John's table. John heard you were in some trouble. Howe sat down and slowly lit a cigarette. John squinted at him and smiled faintly. I don't like to beat around the bush. I want you to help me get out of James's company. Divestment. Attorney Howe took a sip of his cigarette before answering. James is no pushover if you think. Can easily erase the evidence he has in his hands. Then you are wrong. John gritted his teeth. No need to erase evidence. Just make it impossible for him to use them. Howe raised her eyebrows, signaling John to continue. Try to put pressure on him. Make him give up accusing me. Lytuca pondered for a moment, then smiled meaningfully. Okay, but it's not cheap, John. John laughed coldly. As long as James can't stand up, I will pay whatever. While dangerous plots are being hatched, Tadep still did not know. She still enjoys her simple life. Today the sky is blue. Morning sunlight seeps through the leaves. Tadep woke up early and went to the garden to pick bananas. The banana bunches were ripe and heavy on the tree. She skillfully used a knife to cut each bunch of bananas and put them in the basket, eyes sparkling with joy. After picking, she carried the banana stripes on her shoulder, preparing to bring them to the market to sell. On the small village road, friendly people greeted her. Are there any good bananas today? Tadep, yes. All are newly picked bananas. She smiled back. No one in the market knows that from afar there is a strange man following the Diep. At a quiet cafe in the city, James sat across from his brother. In front of them was a small USB. Inside contains all the evidence about John. He has enough evidence to put him in jail, James said with a determined look. So what are you going to do? Your brother asked. James sighed. He didn't want to push him into a corner. If he turns back, I will not pursue it. James's brother was amazed. Do you really believe that a guy like John will change? James was silent. Deep down he knew that John was a venomous snake. But he didn't want to turn himself into a cruel person. James arranged to meet John at a deserted cafe. When John came in, James put the phone on the table. "I have all the evidence about you. You failed, John." John tried to keep his composure, but his hands were clenched. "You think you can bring me down that easily?" James looked straight at him, his voice calm but full of pressure. "You have caused so much pain to others. If you don't stop, I won't give in anymore." John sneered, but deep inside he was starting to fear. When John left the cafe, he happened to see James driving up to a small house. And then he saw the girl come out to welcome James to Diep. At that moment he realized an important truth. She is James's weak point. A cruel smile appeared on the aluminum face. He immediately took out his phone and gave orders to his subordinates. "Follow that girl. Cho Dao Dao has a new plan." John sat in the car with his eyes glued into the small house. Where to Diep lives? He has been following her for days. Remember her every habit. From the time she left home until she brought the bananas to the market to sell. She is so predictable, just a small trap. James will never find her in time. He smirked coldly. He turned to the man sitting next to him. A close associate. "Prepare people to go. I want the plan to be done early in the morning." When she was on her way to the market, the man nodded, his eyes flashing with cruelty. "I understand, sir. She will disappear without anyone knowing." John emphasized each word. "Don't hurt her. I want to use her to force James to kneel before me." That night Dunn sat in the dark room, outlined every detail of the kidnapping plan. The next morning Tadep woke up early as usual. She carried the banana stripes on her shoulder and walked out of the house. Today is a bit chilly. The morning dew is still on the leaves. She smiled, unaware that not far away, a black truck was parked on the side of the road. The engine was still idling, waiting for the right moment to. Diep had just walked a distance when a man in a dark coat approached. "Miss, can I ask you for directions?" he said in a somewhat embarrassed tone. Tadep stopped and politely replied, "Yes, I want to ask for directions." The moment she let her guard down, another name from behind rushed forward, gagged her with a sedative-soaked handkerchief. Tadep struggles, but her strength could not resist too strong men. In just a few seconds her consciousness gradually faded. The man quickly picked her up and stuffed her into the truck. "Let's go," one guy gave the order and the car sped away, leaving the street deserted as if nothing had happened. That afternoon, James is working in the office, then received a call from an unknown number. "Hello." From the other end of the line, a familiar laugh rang out, made James immediately tense. "Hi James, it looks like a nice day today." James clenched the phone. "John, what do you want?" John laughed sarcastically. "I just want to let you know something. Your little girlfriend is now my honored guest." Game's heart stopped beating. "What did you say?" he said in a low voice. John sneered. "Tadep is at Dao's place. If you wanted to meet, if she does, do as I say. If not." He deliberately prolonged the sentence and then laughed. "You probably don't want to imagine what will happen to her, right?" James stood up with his hands clenched. A fury rose in him. But he knew he couldn't let his emotions take over. "What do you want?" John laughed coldly. "I want you to give up all evidence against me. Immediately, or Tadep will have to pay the price." James closed his eyes, trying to control his anger. "I need proof that she's safe." Be silent for a moment. Then send a short video to James' phone. In the video, Tadep was tied to a chair. Her eyes were still closed from the anesthesia. James gritted his teeth and felt his heart ache. "Okay, I will do it according to the machine's request. But you cannot touch her." John laughed. "Well, you have 24 hours. Call ended." James threw the phone hard on the table. Eyes blazed with anger. "I can't let the worms win. I have to save the Diep." James took a deep breath, trying to contain the anger boiling inside. "I know John is not joking. If he makes one wrong move, Diep will be in danger. But I can't easily accept his conditions and give up all the evidence he has." He picked up the phone and called Tuan, his closest assistant. "Tuan, I need you to find John's location immediately. He kidnapped the leaf." Tuan was stunned. "What dare he do that? I don't have time to explain. Let's use all our resources to locate him as soon as possible." "Understood, I will do it right away." After hanging up the phone, James sat down and thought carefully. "I know John is a very cunning man. He will not easily reveal his location. But in the past, John used to have a secret mansion in the suburbs, where he used to do shady deals." James clenched his fist. "If John really kept Z there, you must come now before it is too late." Do you think James can save Tadep? Please leave a comment.